Coming up on this program, we show you how to get connected. Find out how to choose an internet service provider. Discover the newest form of communication, electronic mail.
Ways down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, been holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing, if you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday. I am so glad to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Here we are. We have court to watch tonight. I hope that you have had a good day. I have had a very productive day. Super productive. We'll talk about it throughout court. But we're going to watch. We're not getting into the grandparents' rights case tonight. Yes, I'm drinking a mini Coca-Cola. A little treat for myself. I'd love to hear what you had for dinner tonight. If you didn't like what you had for dinner, tell me what you wish you had for dinner. I know there was 2 chases today. They seem to happen while I'm at the gym. So for all of our sakes, I will continue to go to the gym religiously and hope that we can have chases religiously. John, we will do the case, but just not tonight. It's not a Friday. I don't want to have a downer. I don't want to I just want to listen to some good old-fashioned arguing. Not that lame case, you know? Yes, maybe he will. We'll talk about that at members only a little bit more this week. But if you don't know, well, yeah. Also a teaser. What are we looking for, Paisley? Right there. Oh, Chinese food delivered. Damn. Those are my dreams. Chinese food delivered. I've had to switch wrists with my Fitbit because I've once again got this terrible rash from this fucking Fitbit, and yet I love it and worship it, and so I just switched the wrist, but we're gonna have to deal with it. I'm gonna have to buy another one of these bands. I'll have to add it to my Amazon wish list, and then is it Amazon Prime Days coming up? Is it Prime?
Back on the record.
Look at that. Do you see that? Paisley, just don't touch the buttons. Just don't touch. The 8th to the 9th. Right. So, perhaps I should wait till the 8th. But yeah. I'm gonna need it. My wrist is not doing well. I've had Fitbits for 10 years. They've always done this until I got like the metal bands. Oh, like this one. Oh my God. Like this magnetic, and it's like metal. But I think the key about this is that it's breathable, so it dries properly. Whereas this just makes it like sweaty. And so, but this is for my old Fitbit. I need to order a new one for this Fitbit. I guess first world problems? I don't know. Regardless, let's get going. Yeah, we're talking to you, Mr. Schaefer.
Mr. Schaefer, is your client with you?
Yes, she is.
Okay, perfect. All right, 1 second here, please, and I'll get the record. I'll resume the record. We are back on the record. It is Monday, September 30th, 2024 at 10:59 a.m. for case number 2024-2445 PP, Kimberly Taft versus Scott Murphy. Attorney Schaefer for the plaintiff and Attorney Capture for the defendant respondent.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Court will note that this matter is before the court on the defendant's motion to terminate the personal protective order in this matter. Only thing I would mention, Ms. Capture, as I was proofing and preparing this matter for today, your motion says see attached affidavit, and all the paperwork that I had from the clerk's office did not have an attached affidavit. So I'm going to need you to go into that because I have no idea what was in the affidavit.
Yeah, it's actually quite lengthy. So let's see. Yeah, it says we filed it, but it must have been. So I'm just gonna read directly from the affidavit then, Your Honor, because it's quite lengthy, unless you want me to email it over to your office.
Nope, I'm not going to have opportunity to review it at this point if it wasn't done before.
It was filed appropriately with all of.
I understand. I just don't know where it broke down because I went back into the original motion and anything else, and there was no attachment. So,
Okay.
so.
All
But
right.
you can address that when you address the testimony of your client.
Okay.
Unless you're just doing it through offer of proof, Ms. Cash.
No, I'll go through the testimony with my client. That's
Okay.
fine.
Do you have any opening statement to make at this point or not?
Well, yes, Your Honor, I just want to state for the record that this was filed appropriately within the 14 days. We do not believe that an ex parte order was justified given the fact that there was no immediate or irreparable injury present. There was no threatening. There was no behavior even set in the petition that would bring a reasonable belief that any of the prohibited acts under MCL 600-2950 would be issued. So, Your Honor, I would request that the ex parte be dismissed at this point. And then in the alternative, if we get through this and you believe that there is a reasonable belief that one of the prohibited acts are to be committed, that we at least modify the personal protective order to allow for communication for parenting time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Schaefer, any opening?
Yes, I'll respond, Your Honor. There was a lengthy verified statement with the petition for the PPO that includes a substantial number of times, and the coup de grace was on August 26 when great bizarre behavior took place, that the respondent shows up at my client's home before light on one morning, and then would not let her out of the driveway, blocked the driveway, beat on the car, scared her and the children substantially, then tailgated her all the way to the school, taking the children in, which caused great angst in relation to the minor children and my client. It appears that there were statements made to him at that time that to the effect of run me over, and there is a history of mental illness here where back in at least in January of 23 that he was diagnosed with great anxiety to the point that he was suicidal at that point. The other events include August 1 at the Battle Creek Country Club, where he was yelling at her and following her at an event that the boys were at. There were events when he was brandishing a weapon with the children, and that dovetails back into the August 26th, where he was sitting out in his car loading magazines of a weapon. And he, in fact, did have weapons in the car that were found later by the police when he was stopped. This is disconcerting. It's bizarre behavior that is exacerbated over time period. There are other events that took place in relation to him going into the home of my client without permission during a time period of him showing up at her home, going through the trash and looking for documents without permission. There was going back to even 22 that he had sexually assaulted her prior to the completion of the divorce. There is a myriad of problems here that justify the PPO, and we would ask that it be continued.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Capture, call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to call Mr. Scott Murphy.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, raise your right hand. We'll have you sworn in and we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Capture.
Mr. Murphy, are you familiar with the allegations that Ms. Taft has brought against you regarding an incident on August 26, 2024?
I am.
And can you describe to the court what exactly happened from your perspective on that date?
I previously the night before wrote Kim that I would like to pick up the kids to bring them to school. And I suggested either meeting in front of her house or at the gas station or down the street from her house. And I got no response whatsoever via email or text that she would even allow me to pick the kids up, even though it was my parenting time. On the morning of, I left. I wrote her again, said, I'm on my way. Where would you like me to go? Again, I got no response. So I finally said, I'll be at your house, outside your house in about 15 minutes. Again, no response. So I parked outside on the street, waiting for her, because I didn't even know if she was going to give me my kids at that point. So then she came down. I saw her exit her driveway, her garage, and then she came out and walked down and started saying, you're not even supposed to be here. And I said, well, I didn't know where I'm supposed to go because you never answered my text, you know. And then she yelled at me that I need to leave, and then she was going to take the kids and not give them to me. So then that's when she tried to leave. I did block the driveway and then pulled forward, and then I ended up stopping the car. I got out and I asked her, I said, please, it's my time. I'd like to take the kids to school. And I was standing in the street. And then she drove the car up into me, right up against me, and was continuing to drive and move the car as I was against it. And I didn't say, run me over, run me over. She's yelling at me, move. And I said, I cannot move. You're running me over. At which point I finally moved. I rolled off the vehicle. She continued to speed off. The side mirror hit me as she passed me, which pushed it in. And as I was rolling, I hit the window where the kids were to try to help support myself so I didn't fall over, which was where the kids were, but I wasn't hitting it repeatedly as it said. And then I drove behind them, but it's on the same way to go to school. And I do have audio recording of that whole incident where I said, I can't move, you're running me over, to show that I didn't say run me over, run me over. And then I proceeded to drive. The kids called me and said that they didn't want me to take them to school that day. And I said, that's fine. And my route is the same route to go to school as it is for me to go to work. So I was behind them that way until I had to go to work and I turned right. But
Oh my, five new members. Love it. Thank you so much, Colin, for the raid. Thank you, Mikey, for the one-man raid. And thank you most especially to NPC. 5 gifted memberships. We do members only around here on Sundays. Please, if you're new here, subscribe. This case sounds pretty crazy. One-man raid. Make sure to hit the like, please. And buckle up for what Judge Wordle has for us tonight.
Didn't tailgate him the whole way. I was no more than 2 to 3 seconds behind him. Came to a stoplight at Territorial and Capitol Avenue. I stopped 30, 40 feet back. And I have dash cam footage of the whole drive to show that I was never tailgating her the whole way. And then I arrived to work, and then I was approached by police officers after that.
Ms. Taft states that you were, you had a weapon on you in your possession. Did you have a weapon in your possession? Was it within hand reach?
No, the weapons were in the back of the vehicle.
In the trunk?
Correct.
And you said that was your scheduled parenting time?
It was. I allowed the kids to stay the night at her house based on the agreement we had to try to help the kids transition into moving in with me and my wife on our time.
And was there a reason why you were loading bullets into a magazine?
Finnegan, my son, wanted to go to the gun range later that day.
Finnegan, hold on. They named their kid Finnegan? Poor old Michael Finnegan begin again. Yay, thanks for subscribing, Tony. And welcome. That's great advice, Mary. I will look into that. Like I've said, the metal band works really well, but I like that idea with the clear nail polish. So did they name their kid Finnegan? It rolls off the tongue, I'll give you that. And I mean, my name's Paisley, so who am I really to complain?
So I don't have a whole lot of time with them based on the parenting time and me giving them up to stay the night with their mom. So those take a long time to load. So I didn't know how long it was going to take for her to come out. So I was just trying to utilize time while I was waiting to load those.
At any time did you threaten Miss Taft?
Absolutely not.
Have you ever threatened your children with guns or Miss Taft with a gun?
Absolutely not.
Miss Taft talks about an incident on August 1st, 2024. Do you recall that incident?
I do.
And that was at a country club, correct?
Correct.
Can you describe what happened on that date and time?
They had just gotten back from a trip, so I hadn't seen them probably in close to a week. I had ordered water bottles for them that I wanted to give them. So I was on my way into work on a Thursday. They had camp for tennis. It's about noon. So I went in to go see them so I could hand them the water bottles. I was waiting in the car kind of to see if they had a break. Kim wasn't there at the time, but then she pulled up with her and her boyfriend. And they started walking in. And then it looked like the kids were getting ready to have a break. So I kind of walked in, but I tried to keep my distance behind her and him. But as I was walking in behind him, she says, "Not working on a Thursday, I see." Which I responded to like, "Not working ever" to her. And then didn't really say anything after that.
Oh, sir. Sir. You were so close. But not working on a Thursday, not working ever. You just sound petty as fuck. I don't get it. Just be quiet. Also, I don't know that a dash cam of you following her at a good distance is much better than a dash cam of you tailgating her. I'm gonna be frank with you. The following is the part that's a little freaky here. But, let's see. Yay, thank you.
She went and sat, and I kind of waited in a different area. And then I saw the kids and hand them a bottle. And then I did say something to her like, it's ironic you say something about working when you don't work at all. And then she left the car and came back. I didn't follow her out to the vehicle or anything. I stayed in the little patio area there. And when she came back in, she asked about, or I told her that I had the country club membership changed to my name, which is what it is agreed to on the divorce agreement, that I have to maintain the family membership. And she said, why would you do that? You know, and I said, you're still able to take the kids in charge with the kids. And then she proceeded to call the kids over and say, we can't come to the country club now because dad took us off the membership. And I said, that's not what I said.
These people must be in a different tax bracket than I am, because this is not the divorce fights my parents had, and it's not the divorce fights that I had. Not the country club membership. Oh no, this is terribly petty. He doesn't come across very well here at all. At all. Also, another humble brag. You have enough money to be in the country club and have a wife that didn't ever work? That's a humble brag.
You guys can still come. And then that's pretty much how that altercation ended.
At any time, did you follow her around?
Not at all. I stayed inside the fenced area the whole time.
Did you yell at her?
No,
Did you threaten her?
no,
And you were solely there for the purpose of seeing your sons?
correct.
On June 9th, 2024, were you still married to Miss Taft?
Stay.
June 9th, 2024.
No,
Okay. Do you recall an incident with your son at that on that date? Just as a reminder, she stated that the child claimed that you were brandishing a weapon or of some kind.
yeah, that's blatantly untrue because I didn't even own a weapon at that point. I didn't have my CPL license until July 3rd. So I had no fire gun or firearms or ammunition or anything in the outside that apartment at any point.
On April 22, do you recall an incident between you and your son Finnegan regarding a Nerf gun?
Yeah, he was acting up, shooting his brother, shooting me. His brother asked him to stop. I asked him to stop. He continued to do it. He shot me. So I went and took it from him, grabbed it from him, kind of turned, put my shoulder into him and took it away from him. But I never slammed him into a wall or anything like that. And then he got upset and wanted to call his mom and go home.
Okay. At any time, did you threaten Miss Taft or show up to her home and act inappropriate in any way?
No,
Did you call her at all and yell at her or communicate with her in any way?
no,
Do you recall an incident that occurred on April 16th, 2024? Regarding the dog.
yeah. On the
4 days before 420.
divorce agreement, it's supposed to be that the dog comes with the kids, but at some point Kim just stopped.
Oh no, I've never heard of that. The dog and the kids. This might be the worst agreement I've ever heard. I understand, like, but is that to keep the dog and the kids together? I don't understand. Is that like an emotional support animal for the dog, for the kids? Or is it just like y'all are switching everything? You know, I'll give some couples in that case, you should be better off maintaining two households, one apartment, one house, since they don't want to break up for real. And then the kids stay where they are, the fucking dog stays where the dog is, and then the adults leave. That's how you do that.
Following that part of the agreement and sending the dog with them. So I had taken the kids to try to get the dog, and they know the code to the front door, but they didn't. Apparently she changed the code or it didn't work, so they couldn't get in. So I just suggested they go try a door around the side to see if that was open, if they could get in to get the dog. But I didn't even, I think I parked on the street for that. I don't even think I pulled in the driveway for that.
Did you instruct the kids to break into the house at all?
No, I just said check that door if it was unlocked, if they could go see if they could get in and get the dog.
Okay. Did you enter the home at all?
No.
Did you attempt to enter the home
Not
at
at
all?
all. I don't even think I got out of the car.
On August 14th, did you enter the house? Were you still married August 14th, 2023? Sorry, that should say 2020.
Yes.
You were still married 2023?
Mhm.
So were you a joint owner of the home?
I believe I was
The
still
marital
on deed
home.
until December.
Okay. Would you go over to the home throughout the year when you were still married? Okay.
She would have me over to help with things.
Did you stay at the home with her?
Sir, when you say would you say yes or no? Because it doesn't pick up and designate whether that's and whether it's
Yes.
yes or no. Thank you.
Yes.
Did Miss Taft during the course of the divorce proceedings at any time have exclusive use of the home?
I had moved out.
But was there any
But-
court order stating that you
No.
had?
There was nothing that prevented me from being at the house.
Okay. Had she ever told you, I don't want you at the house anymore?
She said she'd prefer me not to be there, yes, but
Okay.
not that.
But you would regularly go in
Right.
and out of the home with her?
But
agreement?
I wouldn't go when she was not there.
Okay. There were some other allegations regarding your past relationship, of, inappropriate romantic advances on Miss Taft while you were still married. Do you ever feel like you, inappropriately advanced on Miss Taft during the course of your relationship?
No, I never tried to take advantage of her or willingly tried to violate her in any way. I
But you,
only,
you did engage in, marital relationships willingly with each other.
correct.
Miss Taft did say something about you were accessing a trash can. This was, I believe, in January 2023, after the divorce was over. Did you access a trash can on the property at all?
Trash can was on the street. It wasn't on the property.
Okay.
So I did go through and try.
Really, really, really terrible thing to nitpick there, sir. Don't go through your ex's trash. That's fucking weird. Seriously, really weird. Also, do you notice that he put that qualifier word when he said he never willingly violated her? I'm pretty sure. Presto. I'm so glad you're here, Presto. Oh, he's so weak. This type of man is, I can already tell. I gotta be careful. Last night when we were hanging out in chat, one of the people that we were talking about on the screen showed up in the chat.
And to find out if the cancer diagnosis is actually real. So I was looking for a medical bill, but I didn't actually go on her property or take anything. And I spoke when the officer contacted me that she had called. He basically told me that I didn't break any law and be careful that she's just trying to get a case against you.
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay, sustained.
Okay, so a little backstory to this case. This woman claimed that she had cancer and that she was terminally ill. He signed a divorce decree that was, in his mind, dependent on her dying. Okay? And praise the Lord, she's still living, but he's pissed about it. And that is where this case comes in. So we've seen other parts of this case. She is sus, Kimby. I'm getting that vibe too. I'm getting the vibe. I'm getting the angry that somebody told me they were dying and then they didn't die vibe. And I'm just gonna be honest, evil bitch vibe down on the bottom, allegedly. But yeah, I think that, so this is about a TPO, an ex parte that was put in place. So again, I actually spoke about this case with another YouTuber recently, like offline, and I didn't realize I don't know why I don't remember, but I didn't realize these were these people, but I was talking about it, and we were discussing about how, is that just immoral, or is it ethically so bad that it's not, a fair sort of thing to bring up? Is it just because it's uncouth that you shouldn't bring that up? And then basically I remember saying, I was like, well, what I would do if I was the lawyer was negotiate the deal with that written into it, and then have a renegotiation period mandated in the excellent occasion that she lived. That's what I would do. So based upon your representation that you're going to die within the next 12 months, I will pay XYZ. In the contract, it would state, at 1 year post this date, we will reassess this situation and then go from there. And that would prevent that from getting out of hand, because in reality, if you think about it, somebody, signs a good deal, says, oh, you've got 1 year left to live. You're the mother of my child or my children. You want them to have the last year of their life. And then all of a sudden they live forever, or they live a long time. I think that is probably the safest way to do that. I think it's a sad situation that they're negotiating about this, but here we are. And she didn't die. And her lawyer sort of jokes about that in the child support case, because she was getting, I think they are doing a reassessment of that anyways, but this is about the TPO.
Mr. Murphy, have you ever threatened Miss Taft?
I have not, and I would not.
During the course of this divorce, you said that there's a pet involved. Did you ever try to take the pet and exert control over that in a way that would take away from her ownership interest in that pet?
No, I just simply I would ask her for her to send the dog with the kids, and she would refuse.
Did you ever threaten violence on the dog?
No,
Did you ever threaten violence on the kids?
absolutely not.
Have you ever retained possession of the animal, or do you not get the animal at all
I
anymore?
don't get the animal at all anymore.
So she retains the possession of the animal despite the agreement between the two parties?
Correct.
It's my understanding that you have a concealed weapon license.
Correct.
Is that a condition of your employment at all?
No,
And you didn't receive that until July of 2024, is that correct?
correct.
Have you ever tried to remove the kids or any personal property from Miss Taft's possession?
No,
you've abided by any court orders that you have regarding the two?
Correct. Even when she hasn't handed them over since this ex parte parenting time has been denied, she's still not giving my parenting time, but I'm not fighting him on it just to not cause a scene with the kids.
When was the last time you actually entered onto the premises of Miss Taft's property?
Don't even, it would have been sometime early 2024. I was maybe on the driveway with the kids.
And are those entrances only for the purposes of exchanging the children?
Correct. Up until we started picking up at different locations.
Okay. And you've never threatened to show up at her home without her there?
No, I've said I can come pick them up at your house and she'll say no, but I've never said I'm gonna be at your house without you there. Absolutely not.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing further.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Schaefer, any cross?
Yes, please, thank you.
Mr. Schaefer, we can hardly hear you.
Oh, okay, very good. We'll get up close and speak right up. All right. Let's go to the August 26th event. You had been told by your ex-wife that you were not to come to her home. Is that correct?
We agreed on meeting at different locations, but there was no court ordered thing that I could not be there.
Okay,
But
well,
we had-
my question is, you were told by your ex-wife not to come to her home. Is that correct?
I was told that I was preferred not to be there.
And you understood that, did you not?
I had abided to it.
Okay, and you guys had agreed to a neutral spot of exit 92 for the exchange of the students, the children, correct?
For when it was time to exchange the kids, but not for, like, that would have been out of her way to do on a school day, and she wouldn't have done that on that day. So I was trying to get something that would be closer for her and more convenient for her.
And you never got her permission to go to her home, even though she had indicated that you should not go to her home,
I
correct?
never got anything from her because she refused to respond to anything. So I
Okay.
had no idea
And-
where to go because she wouldn't respond.
And she had indicated to you that the communication between the two of you should be by email, and you had communicated by email prior thereto, had you not?
We had communicated via text and email. And then when she gets upset, she would switch to communicating only via email, which I would communicate via both and then via email. But I communicated that I want to pick them up the next morning via email and via text, and I got no response to anything.
Okay. On August 26th, you admit that you blocked her drive and she had to go around you onto the grass to get away, did she not?
That's correct.
And you followed her so close that you were tailgating her for a long time period when she was taking the children to school.
That's incorrect. Like I said, I have dash cam footage that shows I was never more than 2 to 3 seconds closer than her the whole time.
And
And that's
at that time, it was dark out, was it not?
No, it was light. It was
light.
It was sunrise.
Did you have your lights on in the car when you were following her?
Probably the daytime running lights were on.
And the children, you said that you got communication from the children that they were afraid and for you, they didn't want to go with you, correct?
That morning that they said they didn't want me to take them to school that morning. And I said, that's fine.
Yep.
I understand. I'm sorry that I scared you guys. That was not my intention.
Okay. And you in fact pounded on the car of Kim's where the children were at the time that you got out of your car, did you not?
As I said, she was speeding by me and I was rolling on her car. She hit me with her side mirror and I was trying to maintain my balance and I hit the window trying to maintain my balance
Why did you get out of the car?
because I was trying to have her, I was asking, pleading for her to let me have the kids because it was my time and she wasn't going to let them come with me.
And you had not exchanged the children at the home for some period of time, had you not?
Correct.
Okay. How many weapons did you have in the vehicle on August 26th?
There were 3 guns in the back of the vehicle.
And describe those to us, please.
One was an AR-15. The other was a H&K MP5. And the other was a Ruger, like a long handle pistol.
And you had gone through some mental difficulties and you had gone to life coach psychology, had you not?
I had just had a diagnosis done there or a test done there.
And do you recall what the diagnosis was?
Just major depressive disorder and general anxiety disorder.
Okay. And
Mr. Schaefer, I can't hear you. We can't hear you.
okay, sorry. Excuse me. You had provided a report of the psychological review to Kim at some point in time, had you not?
Correct.
And that was by a Dr. Harold Smith.
Sounds correct.
And at that time, you had reported pursuant to a report of 12423 that you reported engaging in problematical impulsive behavior. Do you recall reporting that?
I have ADHD as well, so that would have been part of that diagnosis, but I don't know what I had told him. I mean, I took a whole series of tests, questions, so I don't know what they interpret off of that, so.
All right. And were you suicidal at that time?
No, I've never been truly suicidal. I had maybe thoughts at my lowest, but nothing that would have ever even been remotely close to following through with.
When you applied for your CPL, did you advise the authorities that you had been under mental care?
Well, I'm not any of those. I mean, I see a therapist. I'm not under mental care that way. So I see a therapist. Kim sees a therapist. So I don't think that's a negative thing. Everyone should see a therapist.
My question was, did you report that to the authorities at the time of your application?
No.
Okay. On August 1st, 2024, the country club event. Did there not come a time when you were yelling at Kim?
I'm yelling at you, baby. NPC, thank you so much. You make me smile. The country club event. You guys, being Canadian, this is all a little out of whack for me. But what on earth was the country club event? This is, if you have ADHD, I have ADHD, and rejection can be very difficult when you have ADHD. It can be very, very put you on a tilt. But it doesn't excuse for this type of behavior. You have to rein yourself in. Gotta fucking suck it up. You gotta figure it out, buddy. That's what you gotta do, even if she doesn't die. God, such a crazy situation.
I don't think I didn't yell at her. I may have raised my voice a little bit, but she always raises her voice when she talks to me. So it's just,
So you may have raised your voice because you were not seeing eye to eye about whatever subject matter that was there.
correct.
Did you follow her when she had gone out to the car?
I did not.
Did you intercept her when she came back from the car?
I stayed sitting in that pavilion area, which is, there's one entry and exit way out of that way. And when she came back in is when I told her that I had the country club situation taken care of, which she didn't appreciate. And then she twisted that into telling the kids that I kicked her out of the club and they couldn't go there anymore.
And what was your response when you heard that?
I told the kids that's not true, that they're allowed to come there and she's allowed to come there with them.
What
And then
was
I
your
kept-
response to Kim?
I just said that's not true. That's not what I told you.
In relation to the allegation on June 9th of 24, did you in fact, there come a time when Finnegan wanted to return to his mother?
There was 2 times that happened. I think that was the second time.
And if he reported that you had a loaded gun at that time pointing it around in your apartment, are you saying that's not true?
That's blatantly untrue. I didn't own a firearm at that time.
In relation to the April 22, 24 event at the Gethings Circle address, did you yell and scream at Kim at that point in time?
No, I mean, I was standing further from the car. I didn't go right up to her vehicle, so obviously I have to have my voice elevated so she can hear me, but I didn't yell and scream or in a threatening way.
And this was the time when you and Finnegan apparently had difficulty with a Nerf gun incident and the boys wanted to go with their mother. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. In relation to the April 16th, 24 event, when you were at the home of Kim's, you were present out there with the boys, were you not?
I was in the car.
Well, you were driving the car and you went to her location, did you not?
Correct.
Did you ask permission to go to her home?
I believe I wrote her and said that we were going there to get the dog.
You wrote her, how did you write her?
Text.
So you went to her home with the boys and you instructed the boys to go into the home, is that correct?
Correct. I asked them to go in and get the dog since she didn't provide the dog.
Did you ever ask Kim if you could do that?
I think I wrote her and asked her what the code was so that we could get the dog when I was there outside.
And did she give you the code?
She said that the door was broken or something. I don't know. Made some excuse. That didn't work.
And so for whatever reason or interpretation, she never gave you permission to take the boys and enter the house.
Correct. Well, she just never gave me the code. She didn't say yes or no.
Okay.
I don't remember.
On January 18th of 24, you admit that you appeared at her home and went through her trash. Is that correct?
On the street, correct?
And you did that because you didn't believe anything about her diagnosis and you were looking for those papers. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you tell her that you were going to go to her home and look through her trash?
No.
In August 14th of 23, did you go into the home where Kim was living without her permission?
I don't believe so.
Isn't it true that you had gone into her home a number of times without her permission?
I don't think that's correct. I usually don't go there when she was there.
In reference to an event of January 12th of 2022, did you inappropriately sexually assault him?
I don't see it as an assault. I was consensual at my time. At the best of my knowledge, there was an incident a couple days before that was consensual as well, so I thought I was well within
regardless
my.
of the okay, regardless of the prior consensual one, you got complaint from Kim about this sexual activity that you forced upon her on that date. Is that not true?
She may have said no, but she would often, anytime we would have any kind of relationship, she would.
Nope, sorry. Dude, you can't, that's not even arguable, bro. Consent, my man. We even have a command for that here. We do indeed, I'm pretty sure. The thing, a majigger, is, and for any of you that are new here, we're very adult, positive, and you can do what you want, and consent is the main factor there. I have done things that many would consider being assaultive, but with consent, that's just foreplay for some. So, and consent is not just a one-time thing. It happens all the time throughout, and it can be revoked at any time. That's the whole deal about it.
Always start out by saying no.
She
So
was
it's hard.
she was quite ill with COVID at that time, was she not?
He was sick, what I know.
And you emailed her shortly thereafter, and you admitted that you overstepped your bounds in that time, did you not?
No,
And didn't you email to her, I wasn't trying to take advantage, I was just trying to make you feel good. I should have stopped. I'm sorry. I won't spin it. I was wrong and I'm sorry. Do you recall emailing that?
I believe it's a text, but it wasn't admitting to any kind of wrongdoing.
Do you
I
admit
don't
that you
recall.
text that message?
Yes,
Okay.
Red flag, right? Red flag.
No further questions this time, Your Honor. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Anything else, Ms. Capture?
Mr. Murphy, when was the diagnosis given? That was in January 23, correct?
that sounds correct.
And that was before you and Miss Kimberly Taft were divorced, correct?
Correct.
And since that diagnosis, have you been engaging in therapy?
I go weekly or bi-weekly.
And do you have any medications prescribed to you?
I do.
And do you take those medications as prescribed?
I do.
And at any time, do you feel like you are a danger to the community, or does your therapist believe that you are a danger to the community?
Absolutely not.
I'm going to object to the opinion of the therapist, Your Honor.
It's hearsay.
I will sustain that.
And were you required under your CPL to state that you engage in therapy?
No, I don't believe it asked that question.
Okay. Again, throughout this entire period, obviously there was a contentious divorce. Is that a correct statement?
Correct.
And then there's also contention, to your understanding, post-judgment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is it your understanding that there's primary contention regarding parenting time?
Correct.
How would you characterize yours and Miss Taft's relationship? Now,
Obviously very non-existent. I only want to contact her regarding the kids and pick up time and whatever needs they might have. I don't have any desire to have any kind of other relationship with her. I just want to be able to see my kids and be at their sporting events. And, you know, I help coach my youngest son's baseball team. And for this, I go to all their sporting events and I can't go to them now. And it kills me to not be able to go to do that. I would never, prior to this event, anytime in public, there was never any kind of scene with us. I've never once threatened her violence. I wouldn't ever threaten violence or do violence against her because I wouldn't hurt the kids in that way or her in that way. And it's just not worth it for me to have something happen, so.
thank you, Honor. That's all I have.
Thank you.
If I may
Yeah,
respond, a
wait.
couple questions.
No, I don't need any more. Ms. Capture, do you have any other witnesses?
I have no further witnesses.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer, do you have any witnesses?
I would call my client to the stand.
Okay,
Raise your right hand, be sworn.
Okay, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
go ahead.
Okay, Kimberly, speak right up. You've got quite a ways away, so kind of yell at me here so everybody can hear, okay?
Okay.
All right. You had made a lot of allegations in relation to your petition for a PPO, correct?
Correct.
And were those allegations true at the time that you had filed this petition? And let's go down through the last one, the August 26, 24 event. Tell me what happened on that particular day.
It started the night before, when the kids were going to come back to me that evening. Scott sent me an email, letting me know that he would not be bringing the kids to exit 92, which is where we normally did the exchange, that he would be at 88. And I replied back that 92 is where we had always been. That's where I felt comfortable because it was a public place. There were a lot of people. The exit that he wanted to meet at is desolate. There are no people around. There's no business around. It's just an empty lot, which made me uncomfortable.
What happened on the morning of August 26th?
That morning, when I was getting the kids ready to go meet Scott, I noticed that he was sitting in front of my house. I decided to walk down and ask him why he was there. When I got to the car, he was loading gun magazines. I asked him why he was at the house, and he stated because he could, and he was there to pick up the kids to take them to school. And I said, you know that you are not allowed here, and I need you to leave.
Had you told him not to be at your home prior to this date?
Yes, repeatedly.
And was there any question in your mind that that message had been sent to him that he was not to be at your home?
He knew that he wasn't allowed to be at the house.
And your agreed to exchange neutral place was exit 92, not exit 88?
Correct.
And so what happened in the morning? Did he leave at that time?
He did not leave. I asked him why he was loading the gun magazines. He responded, I can do what I want. I have my CPL. I responded back, no, you can't. You are scaring me and you're trying to intimidate me and I need you to leave. At that time, I walked back up the driveway. Scott was yelling at me from his car. I got into the garage. The kids had come out of the house and gotten into the car. They wanted to know why Scott was there.
Okay, so you got in the car and did you try to leave your home at that time with the kids?
I backed out of the garage and drove down my driveway. And at that point, Scott pulled up his vehicle to block me from leaving the driveway. I then turned right into my yard and started to drive through the grass to be able to leave. He pulled up and sped up, so I couldn't. He drove me further into the grass. I eventually stopped quickly and was able to slowly try to maneuver myself around his vehicle. And at that time is when he jumped out. He started yelling at me to give him the kids. I told him he was scaring us and to move out of the way. I continued the whole time to inch forward. I was scared. And at one point, he moved to the passenger side of my vehicle. He hit my side mirror, made it fold in, and then he started hitting the window where the kids were sitting.
What was the reaction to the kids at that point in time?
Fitzpatrick, our 10-year-old, started asking, what is he doing?
I'm literally holding in tears at this moment. Tears of pure laughter. Their children's name. This is such a serious situation, but you're telling me that they named their kids Fitzpatrick and Finnegan? Fitzpatrick and Finnegan? What if you lost both of them at once? Fitzpatrick Finnegan. Oh, I feel terrible. Oh, we already knew about Finnegan, but Fitzpatrick? Fitzpatrick. That's a last name. Oh, fuck.
He's a psycho. And Finnegan, our 12-year-old, said, what is wrong with him? Why is he doing this? And I said, I don't know. And
Did you eventually leave your property?
I did.
And did you get followed by Scott at that point?
I did.
And how far did he follow you?
All the way to the light at Territorial and 20th Street.
And how close was he traveling behind you?
When he began to follow us is when I called 911. And at that point, I was focused on driving and talking to dispatch. Fitzpatrick, our 10-year-old, is who said while I was on the phone with dispatch, why is Dad following so close? He's
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay,
Hearsay.
tell us what somebody else said. What did you observe? How close?
I observed at that point on 6.5 Mile Road that he was following extremely close to my car.
Okay, did you feel that he was tailgating you at that point?
Yes.
Okay, the next event that we allege is August 1 at the Country Club event. Tell us what happened on that date.
Dropped off the kids at their tennis lessons. I ran a quick errand and came back. When I came back and parked and began to walk into the facility, Scott got out of his car and followed behind me. I made a comment that I was surprised he wasn't at work at noon on a Thursday, which is one of the busiest times for our restaurant. At that point, he got loud and began to degrade me.
What did he say?
He told me that I needed to get a job, that I was worthless.
All right, and so was there more? Did he follow you any other time at the event?
Yep, I went and sat the furthest spot away from him. But after a few moments, I noticed that Finnegan had forgotten his baseball cap. So I went to go get it. The only way out from where I was sitting was to walk past Scott. At that point, he got up, began yelling at me, and followed me all the way to the parking lot. I went to the car, got the hat. I came in around a different way, tried to give it to Finnegan, and went and sat further away from him.
Okay. The next incident we had, you on June 9th of 24, did you get a request to pick up Finnegan from Scott's place?
Yeah, I did.
And,
At night.
and was he distraught, Finnegan distraught when you picked him up?
Yes, he was crying and very upset.
Okay. The next incident is April 22 of 24. And that's at Gethings Road. And had something to do with an altercation about a Nerf gun. Do you remember that incident?
Yes.
And did you get a call to pick up Finnegan and Fitzpatrick at that point?
I did.
And how were you treated when that happened?
When I arrived, Finnegan came out first alone. He was crying. He was afraid that Fitzpatrick wouldn't come with him as well. He went back inside to get him and his stuff, and at that point is when Scott came out. I never got on my vehicle. I had my window down. He began to yell at me that this was all my fault. He was screaming at me that I did all of this. This is my fault. He repeatedly kept saying it over and over. He eventually went back in the home, in the apartment. I could hear him yelling at the kids. A short time later, the kids both came out crying and got in my vehicle.
Okay, the next incident is April 16th of 24, concerning the dogs at your house. Tell me what happened in that regard from your perspective.
A lot of times due to the children's sports, the exchange of the children would be done at their sports, which would mean I would not have the dog. He would, whenever he decided it fit his schedule, would then try to make plans to pick up the dog. On this particular day, I knew that they were at the house trying to get in because my Ring doorbell went off. And at that point, I called Scott on the phone and asked him why he was at the house, why he was trying to get into the house. And he stated that he was trying to get the dog. I told him, as stated before, you're not allowed at the house, and the children aren't allowed at the house during your parenting time when I'm not home, and that he needed to leave.
What did he say to that?
I don't recall exactly what he said, but I had to state to him that if he didn't leave, I was going to call the police. And it was during this time where he had told the kids to go try to push through a door in my garage. This made me feel unsafe. I ended up having all of the locks changed again, which I had already had done after we separated, and now had done it again because I was afraid that he was going to come in the house.
Okay, and next incident is January 18th of 24.
Mr. Schaefer, I don't want to cut you
Yes.
off, but we're going long, and I've got a number of other hearings, and I think I've heard sufficient that I need in this
Okay,
matter.
very good.
So I'll let Ms. Capture go into any cross before we conclude.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Taft, on the morning of August 26th, did you ever communicate with Mr. Murphy?
No,
You never sent him any text messages confirming that your location was going to be the typical exchange location, even though he asked you multiple times?
he sent an email to me stating that he would be at Johnny's near my home to pick up the children.
Did you explain that you would meet him there?
No, I tried to call him on the 25th after that email, and that is when he hung up on me. I tried to call him again, and he didn't pick up.
So it's your typical understanding that you communicate via email?
Yes,
And you refuse to communicate with him via email about parenting time exchange?
the conversation went from email to over the phone on the 25th. He stopped responding to me. He wouldn't take my call.
And you did not communicate with him via email on the 25th at all?
I did communicate with him via email on the 25th. It then led to a phone conversation, which started, he hung up on me. I tried to call him back. He didn't pick up.
But
We
you
didn't
did
have a
not confirm, again,
communication after
you did not confirm that you would meet Mr. Murphy at the location that he emailed you.
I didn't reply to his email. I called him.
Thank you. Did you respond to any of the text messages in the morning that he sent to you?
I don't get his text messages, which he's known for quite some time.
So you co-parent with Mr. Murphy, but you do not communicate with him via text, even though that is something that he communicates with you on, because you blocked him, I'm assuming?
We stopped. I told him that I did not want to communicate via text anymore because he would obsessively text me over and over and over again. So we moved over to email.
And it's my understanding that you did not email him in the morning. I'm sorry, Ms. Taft. Just to clarify, you did not email him in the morning on the 26th?
I emailed him on the 25th.
Okay, but you did not email him on the morning of the 26th, correct?
I do not believe so. I emailed him on the 25th.
And what did you state in that email on the 25th?
It was regarding the pickup spot.
For the morning of the 26th?
No, for the 25th, for him refusing to go to our pickup location.
Okay, so you did not communicate with him at all about the exchange on the 26th?
No, because he wouldn't pick up the phone.
Okay. Ms. Taft, you talk about the altercation at the country club. You were the person to instigate the conversation with him about his work schedule on Thursday. Is that correct?
I made a comment to him, yes.
And you stated that he followed you in. What time was that at?
Roughly 12:30. I don't know for sure.
And was that around the time the boys were taking their break?
Not at that time yet.
But it was roughly around that time.
I don't recall what time they took their break.
Has Mr. Murphy ever in the last year threatened to physically harm you?
He has repeatedly put himself in situations that have felt very threatening to me.
But he's never threatened to harm you.
On the day of the 26th, by him sitting there and repeatedly loading gun magazines after I asked him to stop, and I told him I was scared. Yes,
Taft,
I felt that.
Maybe I can rephrase to help you. Has he ever verbally threatened to harm you?
He said he could do what he wanted that day. So yeah, that was a threat to me.
Was that okay? Did he have a gun in his possession that you could see?
There was a case, that's all I could see, but I was too focused on the fact that he was filling gun magazines throughout our entire conversation. It never stopped.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. I don't need any more, Mr. Schaefer.
Okay.
Ms. Capture, any closing?
Your Honor, the code is very clear. To be able to satisfy, you need a reasonable belief that an individual will commit one of the sections under 62950. The last time Mr. Murphy entered or allegedly entered the premises was back when these parties were in the midst of a separation. He's never assaulted, attacked, beat, or wounded petitioner. He's never threatened to kill or physically injure her. He's never removed the children from her except by custody and parenting time order. He is allowed to purchase and own a firearm. He has a CPL. Loading bullets into a magazine is not the same as threatening. It is not loading it into a actual weapon. No weapons were in his possession at the time. Well, within his hand reach, they were in the trunk of a locked vehicle. Respondent has never removed personal property from the premises that are solely owned by petitioner. He's never showed up to her place of employment or education to interfere with her. He's never sexually assaulted her. He's never removed access to minor children's records or removed any access from petitioner's records whatsoever. He hasn't tried to exert any control over petitioner with regards to animals. He's never injured or tortured or killed an animal. He's never even removed the animal, even despite the fact that petitioner doesn't follow the agreed divorce consent judgment. The problem here is that these parties are engaged in a very tumultuous post-judgment divorce proceeding. There is numerous complaints that this has to do with parenting time. Most of the allegations have to do with parenting time. The parties don't agree, they don't see eye to eye, and this needs to be resolved in family court, not in a PPO. This is only further ammunition for Ms. Taft to continue to make a wedge between the children and Mr. Murphy. There's no basis at this point for a PPO. What needs to happen is these parties need to engage in co-parenting therapy. That's obvious. However, lack of
I gotta tell you, I have heard PPOs put in place over tree abuse, much less this. I'm leaning towards it's gonna be kept in place. The ex parte was put in place, and I think it'll be extended. That's my guess. I don't know though. Let's figure it out. I think she's zealously representing her client, which is her job, and I'm not mad about it, but sometimes you gotta know when. Look at how he's looking at her. He's like, damn it. Ugh.
Communication is a strong indication that the two parties don't want to co-parent. Changing communication on my client to be able to pick up his children, that's an issue. One moment petitioner will engage in texting, next moment she'll phone call, the next minute she'll email. That's inconsistent, and it causes confusion, which causes disruption, which inevitably causes arguments between co-parents. This is not a PPO situation. This is a failure and breakdown of co-parenting. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer?
Your Honor, this certainly is a PPO situation. The actions of somebody who is going through therapy currently, apparently, and back in 23, diagnosed with some mental illness, and shows up at my client's home unannounced, without permission, loading magazines of guns at 7 o'clock in the morning, is disturbing at best. Admittedly, not only did he have handguns, he had AR-15s in his trunk. When the nicety of it, not in my possession, not in my reach possession, but in his possession, is disturbing at best. We have heard too many stories the next morning of improper use by mentally ill people. That is problematical. We have heard testimony that there was a sexual assault, admittedly so, that he overstepped his bounds. Heard that he has been to her home without permission, whether it's to get the dog or coerce children to go into the house. This is problematical. We have heard yelling and screaming and threatening at country clubs at times when they are exchanging children. This is a PPO situation that needs to continue on for the safety of my client, and I would so request. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, in this particular matter, the court and the attorneys have noted, and they've referenced MCL 600.2950, particularly the court can enjoin and restrain certain conduct if the court determines that there's reasonable cause to believe that an individual has committed or may commit any of the acts listed under MCL 600.2950 parens 1 parens A through K. There's been a lot of testimony, probably a lot more than the court needed in this case, about somewhat tenuous circumstances and times when they were still together. I don't infer or ascribe anything to the respondent in this matter when he entered the home at the time when they were still married, and the home was still effectively at that time both parties had access to it. There were other things as well. However, the court does note there was testimony, and that was corroborated and affirmed by the respondent, that on the occasion back on August 26, 2024, that he pulled into and did block the driveway of the home where the petitioner and the children were attempting to leave. different interpretation of the events that ensued, but notwithstanding that, he did block the driveway. He noted as well that on a date that on that date that he was in the vehicle, his vehicle, and I think it was a different date, but it sounds like it was the same date, that he was loading the magazines for a gun. And he didn't have the gun present. He had the again, the magazines and apparently the bullets, and he was loading that. Court will find in this matter that again, in pulling into and blocking the driveway, making her go out into the yard, was in fact subsection A, entering upon the premises. The court will find that again, the situation of loading bullets when the other party is present and then stating, well, I can do what I want, would characterize an activity under sub K, other act or conduct that imposes or interferes with personal liberty or causes a reasonable apprehension of violence. Again, a lot of the things in this case as interpretation, was the person yelling, were they not yelling, were they raising their voice, things of that nature. But again, these two instances that the respondent acknowledges would fall into the parameters of placing a person at reasonable apprehension. Again, in this particular case, as a result, the court does believe that it is appropriate that the personal protective order continue. The court would make I guess you'd say, a amendment to that, which would allow the respondent to contact the plaintiff vis-a-vis email, because apparently that's what they were using for purpose of, or basically for specific child-related matters and for issues of parenting time. So the petitioner, oops, we lost.
I think we lost Mr. Schaefer.
Yeah, we lost him.
Right when you are on a roll, Judge.
Maybe he didn't like what I was saying at that point.
He was winning. Why wouldn't he? Actually, seriously though, if you came with Colin, please make sure that you subscribe. I go live every day, sometimes twice a day. Lately, twice a day. I've been cooking in the morning and then always court. I love it. Judge, you put it in place. He lost. They should be using Our Family Wizard. Oh, sir, that's a bad angle.
Can you hear us now, Mr. Schaefer?
I bet they can.
I got everybody back on again, correct.
Okay. So the court will continue the personal protective order, but allow the contact for purposes of specific child-related matters and for parenting time. So Mr. Murphy, you can contact her by email for those purposes, but those purposes only. So don't go outside the realm of that. Don't call her with the idea that you're going to discuss a child-related matter, then get off on tangents on other things, because that would be a violation. But the court would allow you to, again, address child-related matters. For instance, the children were sick, or school activities or things of that nature, or for parenting time, and that's it. So the court will make that modification. We'll get that entered and out to the parties. So you're free to go. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I will send you that modified PPO soon.
Wow, wow, wow. I think that was the right decision made by the judge. I hope that I hope that he moves on. Honestly, that's the key factor here. But look at that. We got a resolution to a case, a little thingamajigger. We got it all done. If you're new here, please make sure you subscribe. Like I said, we do this every single day. And we have a lot of fun doing it. Sometimes my longest streams have been like 9+ hours. But we try and keep it a little more reasonable these days. But I will be back tomorrow, back at it again. And I hope that you will join me. So please remember that I love you, I'm proud of you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Ways down and ready to ride.